What if I told you the woman lying next to you, smiling sweetly, sending you loving texts, may have given her intimacy, her energy, and her body to another man just hours before? That thought alone stings, doesn't it? And it should, because most men don't see it coming. They assume loyalty. They ignore the subtle changes, the micro-expressions, the distance, the behaviors that tell a deeper story. But whether she realizes it or not, a woman who has recently been with another man leaves behind traces that are almost impossible to hide. Today, I'll reveal 8 hidden signs that separate loyalty from betrayal. Once you recognize them, you'll never see her the same way again. 1. Her affection feels off, either too cold or too warm. When a woman has shared intimacy with someone else, her physical connection with you changes. Sometimes it's subtle. A kiss that lacks depth, a hug that feels polite instead of passionate, or a touch that seems mechanical rather than instinctive. Her body is carrying the afterglow of another man. And no matter how hard she tries to act normal, your nervous system picks up the difference. You may feel her detachment in bed or notice her pulling away when you reach for her hand. That's one side of the spectrum. On the other side, some women go into overdrive. They suddenly shower you with affection, initiating intimacy more than usual, complimenting you excessively, or acting almost too loving. It can feel flattering, but underneath it's often guilt-driven. Psychology shows us that guilt makes people overcompensate. It's like putting a fresh coat of paint over a cracked wall. The flaw is still there. It's just hidden for now. The key here is not to react emotionally, but to compare her affection to her usual patterns. Is it consistent? Or does it feel forced? Your gut already knows the answer. Most men ignore it because they don't want the truth. Don't silence your instincts. They exist for a reason. 2. Her relationship with her phone suddenly shifts. A woman's phone is the gateway to her private world, and when she's hiding something, her behavior around it almost always changes. Maybe she starts carrying it everywhere, even into the bathroom, when before she didn't care. Maybe she flips it face down, angles the screen away from you, or locks it with new codes. You might even notice her energy shift when a notification comes through, her voice sharper, her eyes darting. These are not accidents. They're defense mechanisms. On the flip side, some women go the opposite direction. They'll leave their phone unlocked and lying around acting overly transparent as if to scream, "See, I have nothing to hide." But this is what psychology calls a reverse signal. It's a form of manipulation. The goal is to make you feel so reassured that you stop looking altogether. Also, pay attention to timing. Do messages suddenly arrive late? At night? Does she step outside to take certain calls? Does her tone shift when she texts a friend? Don't get caught up in the excuse. The excuse doesn't matter. The change in her pattern does. Confident men don't avoid flags. They recognize them. If her phone habits change dramatically, understand this. It's not random. It's a reflection of something she doesn't want you to see. 3. Her voice and words carry hidden hesitations. You can tell more from how a woman speaks than from what she says. When she's hiding something, her tone and rhythm change. Sometimes she'll become unusually quiet, her answers short, as though her energy has already been spent elsewhere. Other times she'll talk too much, filling every silence because silence makes guilt louder. Both extremes are red flags. Psychologists call it microhitation. The tiny pauses, slips, or delays that reveal when the brain is editing the truth. A woman with nothing to hide speaks smoothly. A woman keeping secrets subconsciously edits her words. She may over-explain simple things, repeat herself, or try too hard to convince you of something that should be obvious. Even the way she uses your name can change. When she feels deeply connected, your name flows naturally from her lips. When she's drifting, she avoids it or overuses pet names instead. Language mirrors intimacy. The smallest shifts can reveal the largest cracks. Men ignore these signs because they seem small. But relationships aren't broken by big explosions. They fall apart in the little details first. Pay attention not just to what she says, but to how she says it. Her voice often betrays what her lips are trying to hide. 4. Her eyes don't match her words. The eyes are the hardest thing to fake. They reveal what the mouth tries to conceal. When a woman has recently been with another man, her gaze toward you often changes. Sometimes she avoids eye contact altogether, afraid you'll see the truth in her. Other times she holds your gaze too long, trying to overcompensate and prove innocence. Either way, it feels unnatural. Look deeper. The spark you once saw, the softness, the desire may not be there anymore. Her eyes might look dull, distracted, or unfocused. That isn't random. Psychologically, when a woman has given that intimate gaze to another man, it leaves an imprint, and what she once offered you freely, she can't replicate on command. Then there are the micro-expressions, fleeting flashes of truth that cross her face in an instant. A nervous smirk, a quick glance away, a flicker of tension when you ask a direct question. These pass in seconds, but they tell more than words ever could. The bottom line, when her words and her eyes don't align, trust her eyes. They're the windows to her soul, and her soul cannot lie forever. 5. Her daily routines begin to shift. Humans are creatures of habit, and women especially thrive on emotional consistency. That's why when a woman has given herself to another man, her routines almost always change. Maybe she used to call you every night after work, but now she doesn't. Maybe she's suddenly waking up earlier, staying out later, or making excuses about being busy. It's not the excuse that matters. It's the disruption in her rhythm with you. When energy is being invested somewhere else, it shows up in small breaks in consistency, and consistency is the backbone of intimacy. Also, notice how she prepares herself. Is she suddenly dressing differently? Spending more time in front of the mirror, guarding her appearance in ways she never did before? When a woman has been recently desired by another man, her relationship with her body shifts. She becomes more intentional about how she presents herself. Not necessarily for you, but because she's replaying another man's attention in her mind. The key is to notice whether these happened gradually or appeared out of nowhere. Abrupt shifts rarely happen without reason, and those reasons often point to someone else's presence in her world. 6. She withdraws emotionally. This is one of the most painful signs, and one most men feel in their gut but refuse to face. When a woman has shared herself with another man, her emotional connection to you weakens. Suddenly, she isn't as excited to hear your stories. She doesn't laugh as easily at your jokes. Her warmth feels rationed, like she's conserving it for someone else. It doesn't always come as coldness. Sometimes it shows up as forced peace. She avoids conflict, goes along with everything you say, and acts chill about things she once cared about. That's not harmony, that's detachment. Another clue, arguments. Women carrying guilt often pick unnecessary fights. Why? Because conflict creates emotional distance. It gives her a way to justify her betrayal by painting you as the problem. Suddenly, you're too controlling, too annoying, too much of this or that. It's projection. and it's designed to shift the weight of her guilt. Men explain this away as stressor mood swings, but deep down, they feel it. Don't ignore this. Emotional withdrawal is not just a phase. It's the silence before the storm. It's the heart checking out long before the body ever leaves. 7. She shares less of her world with you. Relationships are built in shared experiences. When a woman is invested in you, she naturally tells you about her day. The little stories, the random details, the you won't believe what happened moments. But when her attention shifts to another man, those stories vanish. Why? Because she's sharing them with him instead. This I swoon of the most overlooked signs. It's not about what she says. It's about what she no longer says. When she no longer seeks your input, your validation, or your reaction, it's because that role is being filled elsewhere. Even her body language reflects this. The small touches she once initiated, the hand on your arm, the playful nudge, the way she leaned into you, those gestures fade. She may still go through the motions, but the energy behind them is gone. And energy cannot be faked. The truth is simple. When a woman no longer needs your attention the way she once did, it's because her tank is being filled somewhere else. It's not always deliberate. Often it's subconscious. But the effect on you is the same. You become secondary in a space where you once were the center. 8. She no longer seeks your validation. The final sign is subtle, but devastating. A woman who has recently been with another man doesn't crave your approval the way she used to. She doesn't light up when you compliment her. She doesn't seem to care if you notice her new outfit. She doesn't lean on your reassurance to feel valued. It's not that she's suddenly confident. It's that her emotional needs are already being met elsewhere. Another man has given her attention, admiration, and intimacy. And once that tank is filled, she no longer looks to you to fill it. This is where many men feel the deepest sting. Not in what she does, but in what she no longer requires from them. And it's often the final confirmation. When your role as her emotional anchor fades, it's because someone else has taken that place. You'll feel it in the silence, in the absence of need, in the hollowness where her gratitude once was. And once you recognize it, you can't pretend not to see it. Men, I know these truths.